Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our talk about healthy habits. And this is our holiday edition as we gear up for Thanksgiving coming around in 2 weeks. We start the Christmas, New Year's, all of the hustle and bustle and everything that comes with it. And we are excited about it. But we also know that this can be a really hard time to really stall momentum, to stall our health journeys, our fat loss journeys, our weight journeys, all of that. That being said, oftentimes we rely on our healthy habits to get us through, which is fantastic. But oftentimes we're not considering these healthy habits. They're so ingrained in us that they actually might be hurting our progress versus helping us. And last month we dove into a bunch of healthy habits that, we have grown up with and we think they're so beneficial. But if we step back and we take a look at how we've implemented them in our lives, they can absolutely be hindering our weight loss journey versus actually helping us. And so will be sure, if you have not watched that chat, highly recommend it. I've saved it for you. Go ahead and you can let me know and I will send the replay out for that. But today we're going to dive into maybe some additional ones, and specifically ones that we're going to rely on during the holiday season that again might be hurting us. Okay, so if you are not familiar, I am Stephanie Fleck. I am a certified personal trainer as well as a faster rate of fat loss coach. I have been in this industry almost 20 years. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Some things really that have been kind of the foundations of fat loss, of fitness, all of that. But there are things I have seen over time that I want to address and help you realize that maybe these things that you're doing actually aren't serving you. So the very first thing we're going to dive into, and I took a poll with my followers in our group, and I asked them, if you were to be going to a holiday party later in the day, what do you typically do? Do you mindfully eat less all day long? Do you mindfully even just hold off eating, knowing that when you're going to get there, you're going to indulge and you're going to have a good time, and so you don't eat all day? What are some other things that you do? A lot of people answered this poll, and it was so good for me to see what you guys are doing. And so some people were like, yes, I just eat normally. It's just a normal day. I go to the party and, voila, like here I am. But the overwhelming majority of people do not eat or eat very little all day so that they can indulge in. Here we go. Let's see what I got. So sorry. I just got to move this to, I don't know what happened. Let's try to go. All right. I'm off of my thing. That's not what I wanted. All right. Well, I will go back to I just don't know what happened here. I have lost my screen. All right, we'll go here. Anyway, so many people hold off eating all day long, get to the party, and they just indulge, right? And so here is what we've learned over the years of trying different things. The people who do not eat all day and save all of their macros or calories or whatever they're counting or tracking or anything like that, even if they're not tracking, when they get to the party, they actually tend to eat more than they would have if they would have eaten normally throughout the day. So here is an example of where actually it is not beneficial to not eat all day. Now, of course, there are tips such as making sure you're eating enough protein. Maybe that's what you're heavy on throughout the day. But we know that if you go into something just like that idea of like just holding off, right, and depriving ourselves, we end up binging. Where if we would have had a balanced meal all throughout the day, or meals, we would have actually done fine. We probably would have, indulged a little bit, maybe look a little bit more like a feast day for some of my clients who understand what those are, but it ended up being like they would actually eat less, be less stuffed and uncomfortable if they would eat throughout the day and not actually save all their macros for the evening party. And so that's kind of like a different mind shift for sure, knowing that so many of us, like I said, that I polled everyone, so many of us actually save our food for later in the day. And so here is your permission as you go into Thanksgiving, as you go into holiday parties and Christmas. Don't feel the need to just hold off and just go through the day not eating because you're saving it all. Know that you actually are probably going to make better choices if you were to eat throughout the day, get to the party, enjoy your food, and just move on. Because no one wants to be in that situation where you're feeling uncomfortable and like wanting to leave a party that you were so excited to be at. The next thing that I want to talk about that oftentimes is, if you have been on this like train of momentum, right? And we get to the holiday season and you're just continuing, like, man, like you are not missing a workout. You are just staying with it, and you feel yourself just constantly drained. Here is a red flag for you. This is an idea that maybe you need to adopt, in the fact that maybe you need to rest from your workout and actually use that time to recover. Your body is screaming for recovery. If you are always so tired, but you're eating well, right? And you're trying to get sick, like your body is yelling for more recovery. And so honor that, right? Honor that instead of staying strict with your workouts, not missing anything, and really getting to the point where it is something that, like you're kind of dreading, or like you just have no energy left for the rest of the day, especially for my folks who wake up early to get their workout in, and I always say, like it literally, you are trading dimes for pennies when it comes to some type of fat loss. Because if you are overtired, if you are so spent and you are waking up early, you are sacrificing sleep right now that you need, you're not going to get the muscle build that you're looking for. You're not going to get the benefits of the workout, because it is where it is in recovery where our muscle actually repairs itself to become stronger. We break it down to our workout. And if we're not giving our body ample time to recover, especially during a stressful season, it is something that actually, like is going to hurt you more than help you. So just be mindful of that when it comes to your workouts, listening to your body, understanding that maybe it would be better for you to, really go into the idea of, taking a morning off, an extra day of recovery, especially if you're someone who is doing 5 days, of, harder workouts, whether it be lifting strength or high intensity. Consider dropping maybe one of those high intensities or swapping out your high intensities for a strength training during the time period that seems a little extra stressful, time where you're feeling just a little bit more drained. That will be beneficial for you to continue just to feel energized and, like I said, thrive through the holidays. If you're not familiar with the faster way is a 6 week, well, it's a lifestyle, really. I've been living it for almost 6 years, but it is something that it's a 6 week program that helps people develop, a new way of living. Oftentimes it's just tweaks to what you're already doing, but it is something that we take 6 weeks, we share some strategies, and then literally we build on that week after week, month after month, year after year. Is something that has been so flexible to go through different stages of our lives, different stages as parents, with work, obviously through, a pandemic, all of that. But that is something that, I want to encourage you to always be doing something that is, something you can do long term. We're not looking for short, quick fixes here. We are looking about real change and how our bodies can adapt and how we can stay on top of it to continue the change that we're looking for. The next habit that I'm going to share might be a little touchy for some because they feel so passionate about this. And this is actually intermittent fasting, and it is a strategy that we often share as one of the big, like core things that we do here in the Faster Way. And I stand by that. I think fasting is a phenomenal. We know it's, biblical. We know that there's so many health benefits. But one of the things that we really focus on is not using fasting in the sense of fat loss. We're using fasting for long-term and health, longevity. All right. We're using it for brain health, but we also have to be careful in times that maybe our stress levels are really elevated. If you are anything like, like we are here at our house, we have concerts, basketball season has started, evenings start really picking up, and you kind of have to dig a little deeper because it gets darker earlier, and feeling like we need to, it feels sometimes like we need to have more energy than we did during the summer. And so, when it comes to fasting, I think a safe protocol that you can follow year round is a 12-12. All right. So oftentimes when we first start off, if there's no, big any health concerns or anything like that, we often adopt a 16-8 fasting protocol. But during these seasons where you might be really busy or stress might be really high or you're really tired, go ahead and extend that eating window to 12 hours. And always remember that intermittent fasting done correctly should not hurt you in the sense of we're not skipping meals. We're not just, that's not how we're getting the fat loss. We want to be more insulin sensitive, which is what helps us, give our body digestive rest, and it helps our immune system, all of that. But one of the big things that we want to make sure that we're doing is we're allowing our bodies to not add too much extra stress than the external stress that maybe we can't control. And of course, here's my caveat. Try to eliminate as much stress as you can that you're in control of. Okay. So, that is boundaries. That might be missing out on a few things over the holidays, and figuring out what is best for you and your family and what is important to you guys. But that being said, that fasting is another stressor, and we need stress in our life, right? But we need to be careful about when we're really pushing into that. And maybe there's some times that maybe we want to pull back on that. So anywhere between that 12 and 16 hours, and make it work for you. But think about maybe extending your eating window to the full 12 hours to really get the most benefit of the macros and the energy, the food that's coming in, as well as that fasting benefit from the 12 hours of not eating. All right, I'm going to touch a little bit on this one because I know, like I said, that hustle and bustle, man, it makes for that desire of quick and easy. And I am all for that. But some of us are relying on shakes and bars and packaged food a little bit too heavy during this season. And so what I'm going to challenge you guys is, spend some time, an evening, maybe it is a morning, a weekend. It doesn't have to be Sunday. Okay. Maybe it's your Saturday that you're doing a little extra prep so that you have some protein options. When you're making, something on the grill, if you are like we are, that we grill all year round, it doesn't have to be warm. But if you're making something in the oven, do a little extra, have some extra protein available, because that tends to be the macro the hardest to hit on the fly, right? It's easy to grab some nuts. It's easy to grab some fruits, to hit those carbs, to hit those fats, but it's a little harder to grab different things that we enjoy and to feel satiated when it comes to protein. So a little extra protein prep over the weekend or throughout the week. Maybe you do it every couple of days. So don't rely on those shakes. Don't rely on those bars to really get you through, because they're bringing that process. They're usually bringing inflammatory oils. They're usually bringing some gums and some things that our body just doesn't need. Now, there is a time and place for them. I'm not banning them. I'm not saying you shouldn't have them, but just consider, like, how often are you actually going to grab them? How often are you using that as your get through, instead of actually taking a little time to do a little extra prep on the weekend or throughout the week so you have them grab and go. I'm going to tell you right now, like, and if anyone thinks it's weird, but like, it's not weird to be slicing up chicken and eating it on the go. It is not weird to sit somewhere and instead of eating, your nuts or your trail mix, to be eating some type of, cut up pieces of, grilled pork loin or something like that. It's not weird. People have made it weird, but it is not weird. So be confident in the food that you're eating. Health food should not actually be a section, if we're being honest. Like that actually is the food. It's the other parts of the grocery store that should be labeled differently. All right. Okay. So some of us, we like our carb cycling, right? We like to cut out carbs. How often are we cutting out carbs? But what we're forgetting to do if we are carb cycling, or if we're trying to cut our carbs back, or we're going to bring them back, is all about the carbs that we are actually eating, right? We think about, yeah, cutting out, we're going to cut out pasta, we're going to cut out breads, and we're like, oh, let's pull back on all the carbs because that's clearly the issue. And I'm going to probably tell you it's probably not, but we automatically think like, okay, yeah, bread, pastas, like, oh yeah, all the junk food, yes. But what we're not doing is replacing those carbs with those processed carbs with whole food carbs. And it's really, really important for energy reasons that we are getting enough carbohydrates in our life. Carbs, guys, are not the enemy, just like fat's not the enemy. All right. But we need to be intentional about the type of carbs we are consuming. That cookie that I saw a reel the other day about like getting all the dyes in and the junk with those like Christmas tree, like tasty cake kind of things, little cakes, and I laughed, but I just think like we go into the holidays and we're thinking cookies and cakes, and we're like, all right, so I got to cut back on my carbs. And so yes, let's cut back maybe on the bread and the pasta that you're consuming, but don't forget to add back in carbs, like healthy carbs, because guys, that is where you're going to get your energy. That, with your sleep, but your carbs, we like to call them the happy macro. It's what your body prefers when it comes to quick energy. And so that is what's stored, in your body is glycogen. And we just feel, if you're like me, I feel like a lot of the noise around us is, oh, well, like our insulin, pre-diabetes and diabetes. And we absolutely need to be concerned about that. But when we're eating carbs and whole foods that come with fiber, okay, so that is your oats, that is your sweet potatoes, those are your legumes like kidney beans and black beans or lentils, right? When you're eating those, not only are you getting the fiber that you need, which hosts a whole other great response from your body, but you're also going to store that glycogen in your body so that you have the energy throughout the entire day. No more are those afternoon, crashes that, needing a nap, all of that, like just feeling tired. This is how you're going to thrive, is even if you're cutting back on that bread and pasta, absolutely do that, but don't just cut out all carbs. Make sure that you are enjoying some carbs, some whole food sources that will give you the energy that your body needs. All right. I just have two more things that I want to talk about. And one of them, this one goes back to what we said about earlier about how you waited all day to eat before you went to your party, and the results of that. And this would go the exact same thing. And this is a year-long thing, but you're going to see it probably and feel it a little bit more during the holidays, is when you are so strict during the week. All right. And you're actually being very intentional to eat little amount, that when you get to the weekend, you just lose control and you binge. All right. And it does. It's self-control, right? Like we talk about, oh, it's a muscle you can build, but set yourself up for success. All right. Throughout the week. I don't want you to be like, oh, I can't have that. It's during the week. It's not the weekend. Yes, we have a treat day on Saturday intentionally. But what happens, and oftentimes in our mind, in that diet mentality, is that we need to be eating very, very little. We need to, be so strict through the week that when we get to the weekend, it's just like we lose complete control. And so even if there's no holiday get together, maybe it's like that weekend is your baking cookie with your kids or your grandkids, right? And so then it's just like one is not enough. It's like somehow you're eating, next thing you know, you've eaten 5, 6 cookies, which if you made room for it, it's fine. But like oftentimes one would have been satisfactory. One would have satisfied that desire to have that sweet treat. And so when we just feel, when we live in that life of deprivation, it sets us up to fail every single weekend. So Monday through Friday should actually not look different than Saturday and Sunday. And oftentimes, I mean, the world has made it seem like those days are so different than Saturday and Sunday because it's the weekend and this is the week. And what if like every day was just every day? It just was it just, we separated it into 7 days. And so getting out of that mindset that your food should look different Monday through Friday than it does Saturday and Sunday will help you beneficially so much and for so long, instead of just again getting out of that rut of like this diet mentality of Monday through Friday and then fall apart Saturday and Sunday. Start over Monday through Friday, fall apart Saturday and Sunday. And a reminder that if you're good Monday through Thursday, right? But then Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday come along. That is 42% of your week, right? We don't think about it like that. We think of it like maybe 10, 15%. But if we are just letting loose and going off the rails 3 days a week, that is almost half of our week that we are not being intentional. So don't fall into that trap. All right, last one. We're all like, if you were around in the 90s and the 2000s, man, you know what it looks like to see the low calorie, the low fat, right? Those options when like when we're at the grocery store. I mean, how many of us have seen the 100 calorie packs? I definitely did growing up. It was just like, oh, well, it's 100 calories. It doesn't matter, right? But how many 100 calories would you have needed to eat to actually feel satisfied, right? That we continue to think about that. And I want you to, as you go through this holiday season, when you see your favorite things and you realize like, oh, well, it says low fat or it says low calorie, how often that actually means that it's low nutrients, right? Because it's not going to fill you up. So you might be eating 100 calories, but I'm going to tell you, you're still going to be hungry, right? You're still going to have probably that sugar crash, because when they remove fat to make it low calorie, and what they're doing is they're removing the fat out of items, but they're replacing it with sugar. And I'm going to tell you, even if we're going with artificial sweeteners here, what I'm going to tell you is you're going to have that sugar crash. All right. You're going to feel yucky. It's going to make you actually make poor choices going forward because you're hungry. Now you're not planning on being hungry because you thought you had a snack, and then you're just going to like, that's when those moments of, like what we say, self-discipline, they just kind of like, fall out the window because we're just at this point, like, give me the food. Right. And so we tend to make poor choices when it's something in the moment, right? We rely on our feelings instead of really thinking it through. And so as you go through these next few weeks, don't fall for the low calorie, low fat options that people might be serving, knowing that it's going to lead you probably to more hunger, and it's actually probably going to have you do the complete opposite, which is overeat later in the day. And so as you're going through these weeks, I want you to think about, what are some foundational things? What are some healthy habits that are serving me? So I have a habit tracker for anyone who is here, as well as anyone who had emailed in and saying they wanted it. But this habit tracker, it has a few things on it. It's not specific in the sense of movement, right? Because any type of movement is better than no movement. So can you move your body throughout the holidays? How many hours are you sleeping? I know they'll be like, the idea in our head is like, you need 8 hours, but actually you might be anywhere from 6 to 9 hours. Some of us actually do really well on 7 hours of sleep. And so what is your goal? What feels really well for you? Hydration, going to be super important, especially at those holiday parties. If you are enjoying any alcoholic beverages, know that you're going to be drinking even more water, but staying hydrated, that is going to boost your fat loss as well. And I don't have a number there because it is specific to each person. And that's something that, we set with our clients, like how much water is appropriate for you. There's a couple of factors that go into it. The most basis is half of your body weight in ounces, but then there's actually a little bit more that we consider. So, but that would be a great place to start and space it out. If you feel like you're going to bathroom a lot, know that your body will adjust over time, and also maybe stop a little earlier before bedtime so you're not up throughout the night. Other things like what time do you put your phone down? It's on there. Like I put my phone down and you're going to write in what time did you do that? We know that our brains need time to decompress and to get really good quality sleep. We should not be staring at these blue screens right before we go to bed. But maybe that first step isn't the television. Maybe that is something you do right now, but maybe your first step is what time am I putting my phone down? What time am I going to be doing that? And then other things in there are, how many meals are you eating? All right. We're not here to not eat a lot of meals. We're going to try to get as many meals as we can. We're not looking to have six either. I'll say that, like as many meals as I can. I'm thinking three. Three is a good solid number of meals, and if you are in that part where you're fasting those 12 hours to 16, how can you break that up? How can you break up your day into what time will you be eating each one of these meals? A habit that, I think all of us can fall into is snacking. And there's really not this benefit of snacking. Have those full meals, all right? But there's space on that habit tracker for you to track your meals. There's a couple other things in there, but there's also space for one that for you to add. What do you want to see yourself do over these next few weeks through the holidays? And this tracker has it says week up, so you can just each week, create like print a new one, start a new one, and that way you have it going each week. And maybe that's your goal. Like the end goal is to like see what you've tracked. And we're not looking for perfection through the holidays. That's not how this works. And I hope that if you are a client of ours, like that we're not seeking perfection, but we are seeking progress. So think back through the holidays before. What seems to kind of set you up? What kind of thing seems to kind of really throw you off when it comes to the holiday season? Is it that mentality or all or nothing? Is it when you go into Thanksgiving and you're starving and then you stuff yourself and you feel disgusting afterwards? What would it look like for you to have a Thanksgiving where you are eating, your meal, you are satisfied, you're eating it nice and slowly, but you get up and you move on and it's the rest of the day and you feel good, right? And so that you're not feeling any shame or guilt, which there should never be when it comes to food and your choices, but just knowing that Thursday was a day that you enjoyed. You ate foods that you loved, but you also exercised, just being responsible and eating slowly and listening to your body so that it's not this, oh, but if I don't have it, I won't get it till next year. Well, what if you don't have it and you don't get it till next year? It'll be fine. I am like, my thoughts is 2 days from now, you'll forget about it, right? Like you won't even think about it. But just those things, like use those things as you're going through the holiday season. And that's the last one, is just slow down and think about it. Like, if I don't enjoy this, what will happen? Nothing. Right? Like you'll move on. It might be hard in the moment, but you'll move on. But also it's in the rush. It's in that hustle and bustle that we're trying to squeeze everything in, that we often don't think about ourselves and the investment into our own health, knowing that it can really actually not be this thing where come January 1st, you feel like, oh, I have to undo all this work that I just did, right? Instead, it just be a continuation of what you did through the holidays, and that you would just continue to thrive through 2025. So I will email out anyone who had asked for I'm going to put it in here as well. Let's see if I can find the chat. There it is. I have a link where you can download the habit tracker, and that would be delivered to you. And like I said, you can just print that out every single week. All right. So that you have it. You can use it long past the new year. And I would love to know, like, what was beneficial? What are some of the habits that maybe you find yourself doing that maybe, you'll think about and really dive into these next couple of weeks. And I'd love to know what habit you add. What is the thing you're going to add to the habit tracker that is, the one thing that makes a difference for you, that is a foundation of your success going forward. So I appreciate everyone being here today, and I hope you guys enjoy your November, your Thanksgiving, your holiday, and I will talk to you guys later. See you later.